Welcome, everyone, to an NCAA.com March Madness offseason Skype session. I'm Andy Katz. We've got news here with UConn joining the Big East for the 2020-21 season, so one more season in the American Athletic Conference. Dan, we heard this at the news conference earlier on Thursday, that this really happened after the initial talks after this past season. So when you heard about it on campus back a couple of months ago, what was your initial reaction?
Excitement about, the potential of it possibly happening. I'll say it was, being a guy from Jersey City, growing up where Big East basketball has been, my whole life, going to games with my dad, Seton Hall games, Villanova games, going back to the Stuart Grangers and James Major and even, Danny Calandrillos, so like our whole history, and watching Pearl Washington on TV and the Georgetown, just the thought and potential of getting back in there with UConn made it a long 2 months. It was a long 2 months waiting to see if it would come to fruition because so many things had to happen. But just got to thank David Benedict, an amazing athletic director and a great partner, President Herbst, the new president. Just a great day for UConn.
So, Dan, when you were making that decision, I remember talking to you about this, obviously, at Rhode Island, and deciding, really, you almost had two options, Pitt or UConn. Pitt, ACC, UConn at the time in the American, and you choose UConn. At that juncture, when you made that choice, did you have any idea how possible this was, that UConn could actually go within your own personal historical footprint of going back to the Big East?
Yeah, I thought it was possible, but I didn't think that it was like definite. It was a question that, once President Herbst and David Benedict were done, interviewing me during the process, that was my first question. Because from the outside, as a former Big East player, as a former high school coach, as somebody that's been involved in basketball from New Jersey your whole life, UConn, in the AAC just, it wasn't an ideal fit from the outside looking in. It's one of the best basketball conferences in the country, some of the best coaches in the country. We haven't exactly set it on fire either, in our time in the league, but I thought that there was a chance that it could happen. In the back of my mind, I probably felt like it was something that needed to happen if we were realistically going to set our sights on being the program that we once were, competing for Final Fours and producing first-round picks.
So, look, you're on campus, so you see the football program too, and I'm sure you've spoken or have had conversations with Randy Edsall. It's great for every sport, but now we don't know what's going to happen necessarily with football in the long term. Campus-wide, what's the feeling right now of it's great for 3/4 basically of the athletic department, and the other one, we don't know?
Yeah, I mean, listen, University of Connecticut has, one of the biggest and most passionate fan bases in the country. They love their basketball, the outpouring of excitement, anticipation. It's a feeling of really coming back home. So it's just been overwhelming amount of high fives and hugs and smiles and Randy, Coach Randy Edsall is going to build, an outstanding program. He's an incredible college football coach. He's built UConn to a great college football program before, and he'll do it again because he's got a great partner in Dave Benedict.
Everyone wants to sort of wave a white flag on football, but from your side, how important is it to have major college football, Division I, FBS, for you and the basketball program?
It is important. It's part of the identity of the school. It speaks to the to the bigness of the University of Connecticut on a weekend, getting over to Rensselaer, and as a fan base this year, I think. Especially we've got to really get behind the program and come out in big numbers and show them an incredible amount of love and support. Because I do see an opportunity obviously for the football program to land in a place, that is suited to building a high quality program.
So Dan, you still have another year in the American. You've got Memphis, which has the number one player potentially in the country in James Weissman, a top recruiting class. They could be top 10. Houston's not going anywhere. Cincinnati changed coaches, but they got Jerron Cumberland back. USF has a very veteran crew coming back. And you guys, assuming you're healthy, certainly could be in the mix. How do you assess what you still have to do this season before you even get in the Big East?
Yeah, we will not get ahead of ourselves for 1 second. We have not we've not had a great impact on the American Conference. That's not lost on me or the young men that play in this program. We are locked in and completely focused, on being ready in November. To have a better year, to move up the standings in the conference, to play at a higher level. We're not limping into year 2. We had some promising young players like Josh Carlton, Tyler Polley, who showed flashes of playing at a high level last year. Alterique Gilbert and Christian Vital, bring us a veteran backcourt. We had, one of the best recruiting classes in the country, a top 20 recruiting class, 3 top 100 freshmen, that have been very impressive since they've been here. Isaiah Whaley, Brendan Adams, guys that played minutes for us last year. We feel like we're in a much stronger position going into year 2, than we were last year. So, our expectation is that we're coming into the American next year with a chip on our shoulder, because we know what we're going to be dealing with in terms of, being our last year in the league. So we will have a different type of edge to us every time we play.
And I'll say this, for all the critics that said the American could have brought UConn down, you just rattled off a great recruiting class, and that was before anyone knew you were getting in the Big East. So clearly things were working positively regardless of conference affiliation, but this clearly will just help going forward.
Yeah, Andy, the narrative that we're a struggling program that couldn't win in the AAC, and I've kind of heard some of that, some of that noise here the last couple of days. It's been hard to miss on social media. Obviously, the last couple of years are transitioning, from one coach to another coach here, and we're in year 2, and we feel like we're trending upward. Again, great recruiting class in place, some young developing players. We return a lot from last year's team. And, 2020 recruiting class, we do what we're supposed to do in that class. Year 3 going into the Big East, we'll be young, but we'll look a lot more like UConn should look.
Dan Hurley, appreciate it. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Andy.